Hi there, my name is Sean Macbeth, and I work on virtual reality projects in my spare time. I've been a graphics hobbyist for many years now. I studied computer science in college, and I did computer graphics then. It was even before that, with hobby game programming. And in my career since then, I've always worked in web and database application development, but even there I found different ways to get graphics involved, doing like simulation or GIS and different stuff like that. And so over the years, there's always been sort of a dream of having real 3D graphics, not just a 3D rendering on a 2D display, but to have actual real depth. And that always started with, that first started with these guys, the red blue anaglyph glasses, make you look so mod. And these work for the most part. You have to render your scene twice, of course, and you filter it in the color, and then you composite them together, and it works. It's painful to try to do over an amount over a long period of time. And it doesn't look very good, and when you take the glasses off, each of your eyes still has a feeling that it's tinted, and it takes a while for that to go away. But then some years ago, I thought, why don't we try to apply the stereo viewer concept, the Viewmaster or the Stereo Opticon, to a cell phone. So I started experimenting with cardboard rigs. This was February of 2010, the date on the photo says. So this was well before Google Cardboard. As you can see, I didn't have lenses at the time. If you're good at doing eye convergence, you can see there's an overlap there that you do get a sense of depth out of the image. But I didn't have lenses, so you ended up having to make the box very long so that you could see the screen in focus. And then with it being so long, being able to do the eye convergence was very difficult. I have pretty good control over my eye convergence, and even I had problems with it. And then also at the time, the cell phones just weren't really up to the task. I was trying to run this in the browser. I like working in the browser for mobile devices, and it just was not. You just weren't able to get a very high frame rate. I think at this time it was about 15 frames a second that I was able to achieve with the cell phone. But then even native applications were only really capable of about 30 frames a second. So that was, like I said, 2010. Then several years later, Google announced at their Google I/O conference Google Cardboard. I was watching it live streaming, and I thought, wow, this is awesome. Technology has finally caught up with us. And so I actually had lenses left over from another project at the time. So I grabbed them out of my closet, and the box they were in, I cut it all apart, and I think I probably made the first Google Cardboard on the East Coast. It was within an hour of Google announcing Google Cardboard, I had this. They were handing them out at the conference, but if you weren't at the conference, you just couldn't get them. And so, at first it was just the box. It was just the main cardboard box. And then I slowly added features to it. This strap here, these are actually hobby magnifying lenses. You use these if you're doing electronics or tying fishing flies or something like that. It just sits over your face. I'm not using the lenses at all. I just duct taped it to my box so that I would have a strap so I could strap it to my head. And then these pads here, these are paper towels that I wrapped in duct tape. And then that was once I had the headset, or once I had the headband, that was to keep it spaced off of my face. And then once I had all that down, I needed blinders on the side to keep the light out. And this worked. This worked for a while, for a good long time. I have the Galaxy Note 3, which at the time was kind of the best phone to have for doing this. And it slides in just like that, and so I played around with like augmented reality too. I cut out the whole there so that you could see out of the camera. And this really sufficed for quite a while for me. It worked really well. I wrote a lot of code for it, and it was really good to have. So then once I realized I still had the bug for graphics programming, I picked up, of course, the Oculus Rift DK2. And technologically wise, this is pretty much the same thing as Google Cardboard. There's a little bit of difference. The tracking, instead of using the gyroscope in the phone, they have infrared LEDs all in the back plate here, and then there's a camera. I have my web camera here, and then there's another camera sitting next to it that it can do a much better sense of where you're looking because of that. But the display module is actually the same exact display module as the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. So it's a 1080p display. You probably already know all this. If you're at all involved in virtual reality stuff, you probably know all this already. So then after a while of doing that, I started making some software, and I thought, well, maybe I'll make a business card out of a Google Cardboard. And I got in contact with a company, and they sent me out a sample of their device. This is the unofficial Cardboard Virtual Reality Viewer 2 Plus. So at this year's Google I/O conference, Google announced Google Cardboard version 2, and it had some changes to it. Google changed how you interface with it. They came up with this foil-plated button and a bumper to touch your screen instead of using the magnetic ring clicker that the original Cardboard used. So that's a major improvement there, and unofficial Cardboard has kept it here. They also added blinders on the side, and unofficial Cardboard kept that design too. They added a couple of things. It's called the 2 Plus because they added a couple of things. This is a micro suction cup, and so your phone goes on it, and it keeps it from sliding. So how far can it go? It can go pretty far. That's pretty impressive. And then they also added IPD adjustment, interpupillary distance adjustment. That's really cool. I like that a lot. And then finally, they created a stress relief on the bridge of the nose that keeps the Cardboard from cutting into the bridge of your nose. So I think as far as a Cardboard box stereo viewer goes, this is the unofficial Cardboard virtual reality viewer 2 Plus. It's the best you can get. It has all the latest features, and you're really not going to get better. These are about $20, which I think is worth the price. It also comes with a sleeve to be able to help protect it once it's all folded down. So it's a pretty nice setup. So I have something new now. This just came to me yesterday. It was a Kickstarter project that I helped fund, and they delivered a month late, which, if you know Kickstarter projects, is like 6 months early. And I have it right here. This is the Wearality Sky. And so, I've opened it up, but I put it all back together again so that I could do an unboxing for you here. So to start, the box is pretty big. It's a really nice quality box. I kind of wonder why they went with such a high quality box. Boxes like this are extremely expensive to make, anywhere from $5 to $10 a pop, whereas just a regular brown cardboard box would be at most $1. So they're spending a lot of money on the box here. But that's okay. As we open it up, we see the device right there, right in front of us. I'm going to pop this out, and I'm going to put it aside for a minute as we go through the rest of the box. So I have a little bit of an insert here, and it's it just goes a little bit about thank you for helping, and who are we, what is our mission, go download some apps, please don't stare at the sun. Then there's an end user license agreement. This is interesting. Usually you only see these with with software, and the Wearality does not come with software. Not out of the box, at least. You have to go and download it. It's really just a plastic device that you clip onto your phone. So I don't really understand what sort of license agreement you can really agree to. It's not like I can send this back. It's not like I can check, no, I don't agree to this. So I'm kind of a little peeved at the idea that I've just been entered into an agreement without really any sort of warning that I was going to be entering an agreement. Well, we're going to move on. An extra set of clips. That's interesting. I was not expecting an extra set of clips. There's not an extra set of lenses, so I don't know what this is going to do. Perhaps they expect the clips to break. That's surprising. And then a couple of cards here. Warning, don't stare into the sun. Who are these people who are staring into the sun with their headsets, with their lenses? I don't know. Why does this sound like a good idea? They've got their logo on the back, and then QR code and a link to go download some apps. Cool. All right, and some swag. So there, a t-shirt with the Wearality logo. Cool. Feels very nice. Nice quality fabric. We've got a badge. Save the world from 2D. Well, I saved the world from 2D. And then a bag to put the Wearality in. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice bag, probably polyester of some kind, but it's got a good weight to it. It definitely seems like this is much more portable than the Google Cardboard. I was at an event a couple of days ago, and I had my Google Cardboard with me, and I ended up just sort of standing around not knowing what to do with it. After I demonstrated everything and we were talking, it was a little cumbersome to hold on to. But with this bag and the display being so thin once it's folded up, I could see this fitting into my back pocket while I'm standing around and talking, which would be really cool. And finally, there's a hat in here. So the hat, it's got, of course, their logo. So the phone slots in here pretty easily. You basically just put this in here, and then over on the other side, you pull it out, and then it slots in. Very, very simple setup. And then with the hat slots on easily as well. You just put it right there and clips right in. And then when you wear the hat, it'll dangle in front of your eyes. So yeah, it's pretty simple setup. I had tried this with my baseball cap, and my baseball cap rim is broken in, as you generally should do with a cap, and it was you don't want to do this with a broken in cap. You see here, this there's a little bit of a gap here with the cap. With my baseball cap, it was a little bowed here, so that this gap was much larger, and that kind of ruins the light tightness of the whole system. The lenses inside of this are very susceptible to glare, to lens flare. Let me just take it apart here again. What we have here are called Fresnel lenses. Fresnel lenses are used in lighthouses and in traffic lights, and you can see here that they are ridged. There's a little bit of ridging on them, and actually there are two lenses per eye. There's one here and there's one here, and so this frame holds the lenses together at the right distance. So the lenses are very susceptible to lens flare from any side light coming into the device. You want to make sure that you block out the light very well. Don't have any bright lights on near you while you're using it. It can very drastically affect the image quality. I might actually eventually slap this into a Google Cardboard type setup just to block out the rest of the light, which I know kind of defeats the purpose of the folding design, but it'll depend on how I end up using this the most. Image quality is actually very good. One of the things with the Fresnel lenses that happens is that it actually blurs the image just a little bit, which at first you're going to say, that doesn't sound good, but it actually turns out to be slightly better. I've noticed that text is easier to read with the Fresnel lenses than with spherical lenses. Also, these Fresnel lenses do not suffer from any sort of spherical aberration. So if you're running a program, you can turn off any spherical aberration correction, which give you a small, ever so slight performance boost. So that's kind of cool. This is definitely a much higher field of view than Google Cardboard. Google Cardboard, you get probably 50 degrees field of view. They advertise 150 degrees field of view with this. I'm not sure it's quite that. I don't know. I don't have a system to measure it right now. When I had my phone inside of it, my phone it's a 5-inch display. I'll show you right here. 5 inches. This particular setup I have here says it's good for 5 to 6 inch displays. When I use my 5-inch display with it, I can see the edges of the display on the very edges. So I'm not getting the full range of the lens right now. So that's a little interesting. In terms of using this, I also investigated a little bit hacking these into the DK2, because the DK2 has much better positional tracking. And there are a couple of issues with that. First of all, this bridge here is wider than the associated bridge with the DK2. You can sort of see here how the centers of the lenses in the DK2 sit closer together than the center of the lenses in the Wearality Sky. And so the whole if you take the side clips off, the whole thing is not going to fit inside of here because of that. The foam backer thing here, it screws into the case for the DK2, and where it screws in is right underneath these edges here. So if you wanted to do this, if you wanted to try to hack these together, it's not just going to be a simple case of taking these clips off, sitting it in here. It's not going to work out like that. These lenses do come out. This hole right here is smaller than the lens here, so you're also, again, not going to get the full field of view. Also, the display module inside the DK2, same exact display module as the Galaxy Note 3. So it's the same exact size, 5-inch display, 1080p. You're going to end up seeing the edges of the display once you get this in here. And finally, you do need some sort, like I said, there are two lenses here. This does keep a distance between them. So you're going to need some sort of ringing in order to get it in here. But because of the size issues, I think you're going to have to end up actually 3D printing your own clip in order to get it in there, which is not necessarily a bad thing. In the process, you're going to have to create a spacer. Here, with the lens, there's a spacer here to hold the lens a certain distance away from the display. There's also a low-profile lens that is meant for people with glasses, and so you're going to need a similar sort of spacer, but of lower profile still than even the low-profile lenses for these lenses. I tried it out. I kind of handheld it all together, just sort of like sort of thing, and they do need a little bit of a gap between the internal plastic here and the face of the lenses here. So if you've got a 3D printer, you can probably put all that together. So that's about it. And that's the Wearality Sky. It's definitely a good device. I like it overall. There's still trade-offs between this or that, one thing or the other. I think at this time, if you are a virtual reality developer, you kind of owe it to yourself to own one of all three systems. The cardboard, the traditional cardboard, the Wear Reality Sky, the DK2 right now. When the HTC Vive comes out, I'll probably get that too. Because there's just so many people out there that are going to have completely different setups that I think having those devices together will give you the chance to test things out and be able to figure out what you need to do to make your demos work correctly. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Sean McBeth, and this was the Wear Reality Sky.